Hi guys! Okay, so I thought I'd try my hand at some of this storytime stuff, and I have some very interesting dating experiences. So I thought I would tell you about one of my boyfriends. He was my third boyfriend. We went out for 8 months, and oh gosh, I was probably about 18 at this time, 17 or 18. And I was still very naive about dating, and I still kind of am. I'm only 21 now, but definitely at that point, I was not choosing the best partners, and this guy was actually Mormon, but when we started going out, he was very, I would say pagan. He had basically just broken up with this girl who's pagan, and he had bad experiences with her. She was suicidal. She did end up dying, and he was kind of rejecting paganism, but he was still sort of into it and all like, oh, demons are awful and scary and not good, and don't get into that sort of thing because all that stuff is real and blah blah blah. So, I mean, in that respect, he was kind of going through quite a lot. And when we started going out, he had just about maybe a month into us dating, or 2 months, he had found out that his ex actually did commit suicide. She jumped in front of a train. And so obviously that kind of tainted our relationship a tiny bit. And he had actually had another ex that had also committed suicide by shooting herself. So obviously there's me getting into this relationship. Like, oh God, by the end of it, am I going to want to kill myself? So he was a Mormon. Maybe through our relationship, because his family was Mormon, he kind of refound it again, to the point where he got really extreme about it. And whenever I went to go see him, that's all he would talk about. And I had told him, can you please just not tell me about these things? Can you not try and change me or anything? Because, I mean, at this moment, I'm trying to work out what I believe in myself, and I don't need someone else coming in and telling me what to believe, because I think that's not good, and that's not going to help me, and if anything, it's going to hinder me. And at that point, because my family is Christian, I was kind of thinking about that and wondering if whether I actually do believe that stuff, or whether I just kind of take it for granted because that's what my family believes. So I was kind of questioning all that sort of stuff. And actually, I was taking a break from religion. I was kind of like, I need a time out where I am not going to assign myself a label or anything like that. And I need a time out where I'm just going to say I'm agnostic, or no, definitely agnostic, because I was like, oh, when I'm ready, I'm going to find out what I am and go exploring again. But at this point in time, I just need a breather to recollect my thoughts and to know myself, because I mean, at that point, I was 17, and that isn't a point in your life where you can say what your values are. And I mean, obviously I had values, but I mean, I was just forming opinions, and I was just discovering what I thought was right and what I thought was wrong. And obviously in this world today, you're being bombarded with so many things. I'm getting so off topic. But anyway, I'll carry that on, wrap it up quickly. But yeah, in this day and age, you're bombarded with so many things, like all these police shootings and drug-related news and all that sort of stuff, where, like, I mean, even now I'm still coming up with my own opinions. So anyway, I didn't want someone telling me what to think. And he even admitted at the end of our relationship that, yes, he was trying to convert me. And I thought, how rude is that? I mean, I had actually told him, I don't want you. If you try and convert me, I will not be happy. That will not be okay. Don't you dare try that. And then he admitted that he was trying to, because he was trying to save me. And one of the things that, as a Mormon, that he said was, once you know the truth, and the truth being Mormonism, once you know the truth, if you reject it, you're going to go to hell, and you will get a chance to redeem yourself, but you have to have lived with good values for your life. And I was like, how dare you? So you thought you've told me the truth, and if I decide not to follow the truth, then I am going to go to hell. So you've kind of condemned me to hell by this, because I've already told you I don't want to hear it. I am not ready to decide for myself what I want to do. So I thought that was awful. On top of that, he was massively depressive. And I mean, I was as well, but I didn't let that interfere with the way that I was with him. But he very much, I think about twice in our relationship. I think once before, maybe a week before we started dating, and then another time in our relationship, he decided that he wanted to jump out his window, which he never did. But he was texting me like, oh my god, I need to do this. I hate my parents. They're doing this, that, and the other, and I've got the window open, and I just really want to jump. And I was like, look, dude, I mean, I'm ready. I'm in bed. What do you want me to do? I'm sorry, please don't do it. Obviously, you're overreacting. This isn't okay. No one's going to be happy with this. No one's going to be happy with your choice, and neither are you. And you're not going to have the chance to experience your life if you do this. And I understand, because I've been through this sort of thing before, but just like, what do you want me to do? If you want my sympathy, or fine, you kind of already got it. Just say you're sad and I will help you through it. But don't threaten to kill yourself. And it wasn't even like we were having problems, and so he was like, oh, I just want to die if you don't love me. And no, it wasn't that. It was just like randomly out of the blue where we were happy and he was just having a little hissy fit, basically. And I mean, again, that's not fair to do to your significant other. The only times I've ever expressed these feelings to anyone about when I have been suicidal and stuff was when I genuinely needed that support. But with him, whatever I was saying, he wasn't listening to. But then at the end of the day, he didn't jump. So it's like, you don't really need me to say anything, did you? You just wanted me to say things, which I did. Because, I mean, in that moment, you'll say anything to kind of help this person. But I just think that's a silly situation to put people in. So, yes. And so he had depression. He had been to many therapists. He was taking medication, but none of it was working, which I fully understand. But it was at the point where in our relationships, I would want to see him in the day, in the normal daylight hours, which is pretty normal for human beings to want to do. But he used to say, oh, no, I mean, I'm going to wake up at 2 p.m. Oh, come on, dude. Like, even on my worst days, I haven't woken up at 2 p.m. I have actually been awake and getting myself up and ready, and even if I've just been lazing around the house, but if someone wants to come and visit me, I'll be like, alright, yeah, definitely come see me, because that's definitely going to help. But no, he was waking up at 2 p.m, and so I took about 2 hours to be ready to see him in the day. So then by 4 p.m, which in the winter, that's when it's getting dark in England. I don't know what it's like wherever else in the world, but in England, in the winter, it starts getting dark then. So for months and months and months, I was seeing him in the dark hours, and then after school, I would see him after school. I'd drive over to his house. And yeah, so I had this whole relationship in the dark, and that wasn't very fun, and that was making me depressed, because lack of daylight makes me feel very depressed. And all I wanted to do was go out for maybe a picnic, or go, I don't know, just do something nice in the daylight. Even if it meant just we sit out in the garden or whatever, that would have been so nice. Actually, come to think of it, he had a garden and I never went in it. That's weird. because we were going out for 8 months, so there were some summer hours that we were dating. That's kind of weird. His family was strange. They were hardly ever there, but I digress. Yeah, so he had these problems, and I'm sure he must have had something else. So a little bit about his hobbies and stuff. He had quit school at 16. He was American, he was going through the American schooling system, and decided that he would quit at 16. So that's fine to do. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but he was very naive in the world, and there was a lot of things that he didn't know. But the type of person that he was is he would talk about things as though he knew them, and I don't want to brag, but I am an intelligent person. I'm not saying I'm like insanely intelligent, but there are things that I know that even, you know, some people who are of maybe a higher intellect than me don't know. But this, so he'd be talking about things as if he knew what they were on about, knew what he was on about, and we'd get into these massive arguments, and I'd be like, "Excuse me, I'm really sorry, but I know." It was always something academic as well. It was just like, I'm sorry, I know these things that we're talking about, and I don't know where you're getting this information. You're pulling it out your ass, and I know for a fact that these things are, what I'm saying is true, and that you are wrong. And even though the opinions that you have may be popular opinions, they are very misconceived and, you know, aren't right. And even when it came down to his religion, because what he wanted me to do was to read the Book of Mormon. So, as a girlfriend, I did comply, because, I mean, how can I be dating someone and not know about their religion? So yeah, I did read, well, I was probably halfway through, like, when we broke up. So yeah, I had been reading things, and there were things that he was talking about that I'd already read, and even then he was wrong about it. And he was like quoting things. I was like, I'm sorry, but that's not right, and that's something you think you know, and that was just so weird. So yeah, and it did get to one point where I was just, we got in a fight one time, and I was screaming at him that I was more intelligent than him, and that was so bad. Never do that, guys. Never, ever, ever do that, because that is just awful, and I feel so bad for doing that. But I just got so frustrated, because he was like, yeah, this is right, this is right, this is right. And I was like, no, you don't even know. I'm sorry, but no. Yeah, so there was that, and then there was the fateful day of when everything just started going downhill. No, everything was going downhill anyway, but you know, when everything was just like, when suddenly the rose-tinted glasses just came off, and I was like, oh, shit, yeah, this isn't gonna last long, I'm going to uni soon, yeah. So he came over to my house, and we were, me, him, and all my family, we were eating dinner, and him and my dad got in an argument about religion, and my boyfriend was also so scared of conspiracy theories, and he'd believe almost every single one of them. All he'd have to do was read an article with someone's just theories, and then he'd immediately believe it and be like, oh my god, have you seen this, that, and the other, and show you some really flimsy sort of evidence and weird stuff. And so him and my dad got in an argument, and my dad is extremely, extremely intelligent person. He is extremely religious as well. I know those two might contradict a little bit, I don't know, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but in my opinion, those two kind of contradict. Like, the type of religious that my dad was didn't fit with his extremely intelligent genius status. And yeah, they got in a massive argument. He ended up telling my parents he hated them. My dad stormed off down the garden to his greenhouse, because that was where he liked to brewed and spent his time. And then it ended up me, my mom, and my boyfriend sat in the living room trying to talk things out because he told my parents, sorry, I'm so uncomfortable. He ended up telling my parents that his parents were a couple of years older than them, so they were more intelligent. Yep, that makes so much sense. They were like 3 years older, and our parents are, you know, at that point, mid-50s, and maybe his dad was in his 60s, I don't know. Oh, I'm so sorry. And, ow, oh my gosh. Here we go. Yeah, so he ended up telling my parents that his parents were obviously more intelligent than they were because of their age. That was it. And that his parents said all this stuff. And, I mean, his parents were nice. I loved them, and I had some very honest talks with them, and they understood that he was going way too far with his religious views and conspiracy ideas and stuff. So, like, I mean, even though they were Mormon and they did hold a lot of the same beliefs as him, they were a lot nicer about it, and they were kind and friendly, and I'm very sad that I don't know them anymore. But, yeah. So, my dad completely out of character. Oh, no. What happened? I got really upset at one point because he was bad-mouthing my parents and saying that he hated my dad. And I'm not a daddy's girl. Or I kind of used to be, but at that point, I mean, I still really admired my dad and I loved him. And so I got really upset and I just needed to get out of the room. So I ended up running down the garden as well. It was a very lovely day. Beautiful warm weather. But anyway, yeah, so I ran down the garden. I was upset. I was crying. And I was out there for about 5 minutes. I could hear my dad, and then my dad went back into the house. And, oh my god, at that point I was like, yeah, I think I kind of had to break up with him. Although I didn't, which is stupid. But then I expected anyone else to come get me from the garden but my boyfriend. And I was so upset when he did. I wanted it to be my dad or my mum, anyone else, or my brothers and sisters, I don't know, just not my boyfriend. But yeah, he came and got me. And so we all went back into the living room. My dad came in, very out of character, came and sat down and just listened to all my boyfriend had to say. And my dad can be very assertive, and I think he just understood that my boyfriend was very troubled and had problems and just needed to vent his feelings. And then everything was really reasonable and it seemed like we made up and everything. And then just as my boyfriend's dad came to pick him up, my boyfriend was like, you know what? I know about black magic and I could put a hex on this house if I wanted to. And I could curse your whole family, but I'm not going to because you're nice. But I could if I wanted to. I was like, what the hell? Who says that? Anyway, we broke up pretty quickly afterwards. Maybe about a month afterwards, after he came to my school ball and everything like that, and I was so disenchanted with him after that. I was like, oh. The thing is, he was so hot that I was like, I'm going to uni soon, we're going to break up anyway, so in the meantime, maybe we can just carry on, whatever. Yeah, so then we broke up, and for months and months and months afterwards, he would try and continue to save me from whatever and try to get me into being a Mormon and stuff like that and trying to pull me in and everything. And just, at first I was like, I'm sorry, I don't want to know, like, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that things ended the way they did, but, you know, if you could just not talk to me, I can't be your friend if you talk to me about these sorts of things. I'm sorry, because I mean, now more than ever, I don't want to hear about this, now that we've broken up, and he really hurt me when we broke up, and, you know, the things he said, and things leading up to it, and things he said afterwards, and yeah, I was just like, I don't, now more than ever, I just do not want to hear this. And so he kind of understood, but from time to time he would come back with all this stuff. And after that point, just every single time I shut him down, I was like, I was bitchy, but it was, you know, it was for a reason. I mean, I had said, like, I'm not going to tolerate this, and if you do this, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be friends with you, and I will not be nice about it. And sure enough, I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't mean. I wasn't, you know, calling him names and, like, swearing at him or anything, but I just didn't have the time of day for him anymore. And I'd just be like, whenever he'd say something to me, I'd just be like, I'm really sorry, but I don't care. Basically. Be like, I don't care. I don't believe you. I don't care. I don't even want to be with you anymore anyway. Like, I mean, I know that I try to fight for you, but actually, I don't want to know you anyway. I'm over you. I've taken all this time to get over you, and you think you can come back and try and, you know, he tried to win me back a few times, even to the point where one time he said, I'm moving back to Las Vegas, which is where he had lived with his brother before he moved in with his parents. He was like, yeah, I'm moving back to Las Vegas. Come with me. And this is after, like, months of us not hearing from each other. Months and months and months. It's crazy. I don't know, what anyone in their right mind, who would say that? Who would just be like, hi, I've not heard from you in maybe 7 months, but, move in with me. Move out of the country with me. No. Are you dumb? I'm sorry, what? I don't get it. I even told him about the people I was dating to maybe try and, I don't know, get rid of his weirdness. And I wouldn't even say it's attraction to me, because it just wasn't. It was just weird. It was just some weird obsession, really. I would just try and tell him about the people I was dating, and I would not hold back on saying that I had slept with people. I would be like, oh, well, what did you do last night? Well, I saw this guy, and then, you know, all that sort of thing. So it's not like he should have been attracted to me at all. So I don't know what the case was. But regardless, I have not heard from him in ages. Thank the Lord. Not the moment, Lord. Not even any, I don't know, why mystical, I don't know. God knows. Sorry about that. And now I am in a very happy relationship of a year and a couple months, and it's great. Nothing crazy and weird. I have two other boyfriends that were just plain old weird, and then a couple of other, you know, just weird dates or like kind of like what the fuck sort of situations. So I might tell you about those. Yeah, so thank you for listening to me if you've made it this far. I half don't expect that people would have made it through this, but I hope you would. And I'm glad you want to hear about my tumultuous dating life. So maybe I will carry on telling you these sorts of things. I don't know. Alright, okay, thank you so much for listening to me. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. Maybe give me a thumbs up if you really want. I don't know. Whatever. Just think about it. And I will talk to you later. And even though I don't post that much, hopefully it won't be too long. So, goodbye and have a beautiful, wonderful day or night, depending on where you are. And excel, dream big, do beautiful, wonderful things, and be happy.